So it gives me great pleasure to be along with all of you, and I'm getting a chance to serve Braj Vihari Prabhu. Since he's not here, I'm trying to fill in. Let's see how it goes. So I was told by Raghav Charan Prabhu that we are currently discussing first canto 10 chapter and shloka number 9 and 10. So I read it. Yeah. You have it on your phones. So I'll read it. This is 9 and 10 together. Subhadra Draupadi Kunti Virata Tanaya Tatha Gandhari Dhrtarastra Yuyutsur Gautamo Yamau Vrikodarascha Dhaumyascha Striyo Matsya Sutadayah Na Sehire Vimuhyanto Viraham Sharangadhanvanaha. Translation. At that time, which time? When Lord Krishna is leaving. Yeah. At that time, Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, Yuyutsu, Kripacharya, Nakula, Sahadeva, Bhimsen, Dhaumya, and Satyavati all nearly fainted because it was impossible for them to bear separation from Lord Krishna. Purport. Lord Sri Krishna is so attractive for the living beings, especially for the devotees, that it is impossible for them to tolerate separation. The conditioned soul, under the spell of illusory energy, forgets the Lord, otherwise he cannot. The feeling of such separation cannot be described, but it can simply be imagined by devotees only. After his separation from Vrindavan and the innocent, rural, cowherd boys, girls, ladies, and others, they all felt shock throughout their lives. And the separation of Radharani, the most beloved cowherd girl, is beyond expression. Once they met at Kurukshetra during a solar eclipse, and the feeling which was expressed by them is heart-rending. There is, of course, a difference in the qualities of the transcendental devotees of the Lord, but none of them who have ever contacted the Lord by direct communion or otherwise can leave Him for a moment. That is the attitude of the pure devotee. So, very a high level of devotion being described in today's shloka, especially in the translation it was mentioned. There is a long list of personalities, and it is being described that these devotees, they nearly fainted in separation from Krishna. Sometimes some devotees, they faint in separation from Krishna, and sometimes some devotees, they faint when they see Krishna after a long time. So here on the altar we have Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Gaur Nitai, they have their hands raised. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spent his first 24 years of his life in Bengal. And then at one point of time, he accepted the sannyas order and he decided to shift to Jagannath Puri. So the first time in his life, he goes to Jagannath temple. And from a distance, the main murtis of Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, they are at some distance. So when he sees for the first time Jagannath ji from a distance, he is not able to resist himself, and he is on his way to take closer darshan. But before he can take the first step, just out of that intense happiness that he is seeing Krishna, he actually falls on the floor unconscious. And the guards in the temple, they think this is some kind of a cheap person who's making a show, and he's trying to attract attention. Actually, in front of the Lord, we should not attract attention to ourselves. Everyone should see the Lord. So the guards, they come to beat him. Some sannyasi, and he is just falling unconscious. ऐसे तो रोज drama चलते रहता है. So they come to beat him. But this scene is being observed by the guru of the king of Puri, Rajguru. So the Rajguru at that time is Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is learned in all the scriptures. And he sees something strange. He says, usually for somebody to faint like this, it's not easy. And you can't pretend for a long time. You can pretend, no, you can fool some people for some time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. So he's been lying there for a good amount of time, and especially when the guards are coming to beat you up, you may not faint. You will have to get up. But he understands something. So he wait. And then he takes 1 or 2 fibers of cotton, not a ball of cotton, 1 or 2 fibers of cotton. And that cotton fiber he puts near the nostrils of Lord Chaitanya. And those fibers move just a little bit. Otherwise, there are no symptoms of life in his body. The chest is not moving. There's no symptoms of life. Just a little bit fiber. So, itna sa halka sa breathing chal raha hai. And then he understands, I had read in the scriptures that there is some stage like this where somebody who has a lot of love for the Lord, when he sees the Lord, he faints, and it is almost on the border of death only. For all practical purposes, this person is dead. And he says, I never thought I will get a fortune of actually coming in touch with a person like this. And I am so fortunate today I saw a person like this. And he very respectfully, the same guards were about to beat him. He says, please pick his body respectfully. He's a great personality. And take him to my home. And after 7 or 8 hours at Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's home, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to external consciousness, and then he says, where am I? So, these are the characteristics of people who are at a very high level of attachment to the Lord. Some of them, when they see the Lord for the first time after a long duration, after a long gap, it's just intense happiness. And you can't understand what to do, how to do, and you faint. And then there are these personalities who are described in today's shloka who have been with Krishna for a long amount of time, and now they're getting separated. So they know. Now, we don't know when next we'll be able to see the Lord, and that's why they also faint. So it's all a question of, there's so much appreciation, either because of absence or because of expected absence, that you think, I don't know when I'll meet next. And just in that anticipation, it overwhelms you. Has it happened with you sometimes that you are at your home and maybe your sister who stays far away, maybe some of your childhood friends who stay far away, but a long gap, long absence in between, and suddenly somebody brings the doorbell and you open and you say, and sometimes you're just speechless. You don't even know welcome, how nice. You can't even speak a single word because you're just overwhelmed, right? Maybe, if you stay away from your parents, I don't know how many of you are undergoing that situation, but sometimes, you meet your mother after a long time, or you meet your father after a long time, right? And it takes some moment just to reorganize your thoughts. It just takes some time to reorganize what are you going to speak, right? You're just spellbound. You're just awestruck, right? Dhruv Maharaj also, he did intense tapasya for 6 months. First month he was just eating something, some fruits or roots once in 12 days. The second month he was eating dried leaves once in 9 days. Then the third month he was eating just, he was just drinking some water once in 6, it was first in 3 days, then 6 days, and 9 days, and 12 days. So first it was fruits and roots. Second month it was dried leaves. Third month it was some water. Fourth month it was air. And by the end of the 5th month, he had even stopped that. So that is when by 6 months, then the Supreme Lord appeared. And very interestingly, he's been meditating on the Supreme Lord. He wants to ask something from the Supreme Lord. That's the whole point of praying to the Supreme Lord. It's not to see him, it's to ask something from him. So with that kind of a focused consciousness, he's been doing intense tapasya. And finally, when the Lord comes in front of him, he is not even able to speak a single word. And then the Lord, out of mercy, he takes his conch shell and touches Dhruv's forehead. And then that's when he gets some ability to offer prayers to the Lord. Otherwise, he is also awestruck. So any one of us, till the day we are spellbound, or we are dumbfounded, or we are just at a loss for our words in front of the deities, or maybe when you are hearing some kirtan or something, right? One such experience. Till that time, you should understand we are on a journey. Sometimes people ask this question: when will I become a devotee of Krishna? When will I keep hearing advanced devotee, advanced devotion. So one way in which you can measure is that when you take darshan of Radha Gopinath, do you faint? No, I also didn't faint any day till now. It means, yeah, continue. Please don't give up. And one day, naturally, if you just faint, looking at the beauty of Gopinath, or you are hearing some kirtan and you say, I never heard this kirtan. What is this kirtan? And you faint. Or somebody says, how did you like today's kirtan? You're just searching for the words, right? So that means something went wrong. Your natural processes, you hear, you process it, you give it a grade, and then you speak it out. First class tha, second class tha, isse to aur bhi achhe sune, whatever. We have our own gradations. But one day when you are at a loss of words and you just don't know how to reply, that means you reached a good stage. Why? Because Krishna, he has this unique ability to touch our hearts. So in these names, I'll quickly read out the names once more, and I'll ask you one question. So please hear these words, these names very attentively. Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara. Uttara is the wife of Abhimanyu. Gandhari, Dhrtarastra. Yuyutsu. Yuyutsu is the son of Dhrtarastra's one wife he had, who was not the queen. So from her he got a son called Yuyutsu. Kripacharya, Nakula, Sahadev, Bhimsen, Dhaumya, and Satyavati. Who is Satyavati? The mother of Bhishma. Not exactly the mother in the sense biological mother, but Shantanu Maharaj's wife. Right? So in all these names, are there any names which you would not expect to be there? That, these people fainted when Krishna was going. I thought these people names should not be there. And some names like Subhadra, definitely sister of Krishna. Draupadi, one of the names of Draupadi is Krishna. Technically, Devanagari, the alphabet that we write, how do we write Krishna in Devanagari? Marathi, Hindi, Sanskrit, how do we write? Ka, and then half sh, and then na, right? So the real pronunciation is Krishna. It's not Krishna, it's not long. So as soon as you make it long, then technically it becomes female, right? So Draupadi's name, one of the names of Draupadi is Krishna. She would always be absorbed in Krishna. So her name is definitely going to be there in this list. Kunti, she's offered so many prayers, like 8th chapter you must have discussed. Namo Pankajanabhaya, Namo Pankajamaline. Uttara, yeah, because when that Brahmastra attacked her womb, then first person she cried out is Krishna, Krishna Mahabaho, Krishna, please save me. Okay, so other than him, the other attendees, I want you to think about it a little, not just here. Are there any names in this list which you would have a doubt for? Some names are to be expected. I mentioned a few names which are to be, but some names, do you feel that how come these names are there? Yes?
Gandhari.
Yeah, right. So we could think a little bit about it, that how come Gandhari and Dhritarashtra's names are there? We would not expect them to be there. So, Prabhuji, you mentioned their names are not expected to be there. Any reason?
First thought would come is that because they are from the opposite camp.
Yes. They're from the opposite camp.
Opposite camp.
Yeah.
And they are Dhrtarastra is the head of the Kaurava
Yeah.
clan.
Yes.
Whereas Krishna is always been siding and with the side of Pandavas because they were on the side of Dharma.
Yes. Right. Anybody wants to agree to what he said? No, no, no. This is the question. Anybody wants to agree to what he said? Because they're on the opposite side. No, no. The people there, they are not. Yeah, you would want to agree, right? So one interesting thing is there is something for us to learn. The living entity is in its natural state helplessly attracted to Krishna. The literal meaning of the word Krishna is Sarva Akarshayati iti Krishna. That person who attracts everyone is Krishna. So he attracts the birds, the bees, animals, humans, devatas. There is one very beautiful story in the Krishna book. In Dwarka, Krishna is ruling. Krishna is still present in Dwarka. And one day, one of the Brahmanas, he comes to the court and he says, "Oh, what a misfortune, what a misfortune. I thought that Krishna is my protector. What a misfortune." So Arjun is also there at that time in Dwarka. So Arjun and Krishna both ask him, "What happened, yeah, my dear Brahman?" So he says, "I gave birth to a child and the child died. And 5,000 years back, the understanding was the natural progression is the father has to die first, then the child. Never the child can die before the father. And if it happens like that, it means there is something wrong in the administration and the system set up by the king. There is something faulty there. ऐसा विपरीत नहीं होना चाहिए." So he is so convinced about it that he comes and puts the blame on Krishna. How can my child live before me? So Krishna says, "Don't worry, there must be something abnormal here. I request you to give birth to another child and I'll myself protect." And this Brahman gives birth to another child and that child also dies. But this time Krishna is personally present at his home. So he says, "I am the greatest fool. How unfortunate am I? I first lost my first child and then I went and in a very innocent way spoke it to Krishna, and Krishna assured me that I'll protect your second child. I'll be there personally. And how unfortunate am I that I actually believed him. And right in Krishna's presence, I lost my second child. I should have remembered that Krishna was known to be a very famous liar. How can I believe Krishna?" So now the reputation of Krishna is at stake. So Arjun is there and Arjun says, wait. You don't have to do all this. I take a vow. I will personally protect your child. So I am requesting you give birth to a third child. And this time Krishna will not protect. I will protect. Dhanurdhar Arjun. And if by chance this time something happens to the child, I'll enter fire. I'll kill myself. So Arjun has this famous, those who know another story also where Arjun says, right, if anything goes wrong, I'll enter fire. So there's something about fire in Arjun. So then he says, okay, I'll enter fire. Then this Brahman, he thinks, okay, I'll trust Arjun. At least Arjun is not famous for being a liar. So he gives birth to the third child. And when the third child is born, the third child does not die. Haribol. But the third child disappears without a trace. Gayab! And this Brahman again starts shouting. He said, I'm just so simple. I'm just so unfortunate. First I believed Krishna. And when Krishna could not do anything about it, now I believe Arjun. What to do? And Arjun, then sets up some kind of a fire and is about to enter, kill himself. Krishna says, wait, this is serious now, right? I have to do something about it. So he said, Arjun, let's go and find out that baby who disappeared. At least when the child dies, then the body is there. But at least, this time the body disappears. So we have to find, there's something going on here. So Arjun says, okay, let's go. So they get on Krishna's chariot and they actually search on Yamraj's planet. The child is not there. They search throughout the universe, in different parts of the universe. The child is not there anywhere. Then Krishna says, I can't allow you to die like that. So we have to search this child and he is not there in any part of this universe. Let's go and search outside this universe. Now usually that does not happen. All of us, When we are born in one universe, we cannot escape this universe at any cost. But Krishna is there, right? So Krishna's chariot is there, and both of them are there, and then they travel to the shell of the universe. Now, after a certain time, there is pitch darkness. I don't want to give you the details. Well, there is basically one set of mountains. They are called Loka mountains. So the Loka mountains, on this side of Loka mountains, there is sunshine. But the Loka mountains are so tall that sunshine also cannot cross. So beyond the Loka mountains, it's pitch complete darkness. So when they reach that part of the universe, they are still within the universe, but they are pitch dark. So then Krishna releases his Sudarshan Chakra. And Sudarshan Chakra is there in front, and it is not only illuminating, but if there is any obstruction, then it cuts through it. Then there is the shell of the universe, and Sudarshan Chakra is penetrating, making a path for Krishna's chariot to the shell of the universe. And outside the shell of the universe, they go there, and they see somebody there. It's a huge personality. He's Vishnu. His name is Mahavishnu. We all say in Maharashtra, right? So Maharashtra is the biggest Rashtra, right? Mahaprasad means the best prasad. So this is Mahavishnu. And Mahavishnu, the speciality is from the pores of his body. When he exhales out, then the universes come out. And when he inhales, then the universes go in. So that Mahavishnu, he is there, huge Mahavishnu. And Krishna and Arjun outside the universe have gone to see him. They come across him. And the Krishna says, ask him. Because that baby was not in the universe. So outside the universe, kahin to hona chahiye. So then they ask, did you take the baby? So he says, yes, I took the baby. Why do you take the baby? A lot of things happened there. And a lot of things could have happened there. Ahead also. So Mahavishnu says, actually, I just keep hearing about the beauty of Krishna. But I don't get to see the beauty of Krishna. And I know one thing, if I have to see the beauty of Krishna, if I trouble Krishna, Krishna does not take it seriously. But if I can do something to trouble his devotees, then Krishna will definitely come to save his devotees. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. So I arranged in such a way that I troubled a Brahman in Dwarka. And I thought I'll get to see you, Krishna. And here I am. Otherwise, what are the chances of me getting a chance to see Krishna? So if Krishna is all attractive, who is attracted to Krishna? The human beings are attracted to Krishna. Birds, bees, the deer of Vrindavan are attracted to Krishna. Who else? The devatas are attracted to Krishna. And in this story, we get to know that one of the incarnations of the Lord Mahavishnu also feels that the beauty of Krishna is par excellence. And so he's so attractive. Krishna is so attractive, right? So just like a magnet will naturally attract iron. Whether it is a huge block of iron or whether it is iron powder. It does not matter. The quantity does not matter. But iron will naturally get attracted to magnet. Similarly, Krishna is such a person, if we are not contaminated in its natural state, whether you are a simple farmer, or whether you are in a subhuman species also, or you may be some great tapasvi, or you may be some big powerful monarch of the whole world, from the big to the small. Actually, we will be naturally attracted to Krishna. But in one condition, the iron piece or the iron filings, iron screw, iron nail will not get attracted to magnet. In what condition? He's only answering everything. You should not answer, right? Yeah, we want everyone to participate. In what condition? Some of you said it. Yes? Rust, right? So when there is rust, where does the rust come from? Is it something foreign? It's actually exposure to moisture. So when iron comes in touch with moisture or water, then some part of the iron gets converted into rust, and that rust becomes some kind of a layer on the iron, and which masks the ability of iron to get attracted to the magnet, right? So similarly, every living entity, big or small, whatever position we are in, actually we will get attracted to Krishna. He's just so sweet, so magnanimous, so charitable, so kind-hearted, so loving, right? But in one condition, the living entity will not get attracted to the Lord. And that mask or that cover or the layer of rust on iron is something that comes from the iron, but it prevents the iron exhibit its natural quality of getting attracted to the magnet. Similarly, actually there is something in us which changes. The iron changes in contact with moisture and becomes rust-like. So in us, actually there is natural appreciation for Krishna. Krishna is so sweet. Krishna is so lovable. Krishna is so kind-hearted. Krishna is a friend of all. Yes, we could just keep on speaking so much about Krishna. Unfortunately, sometimes what happens is this appreciation for Krishna turns the other way around and we can get envious of Krishna. How, when, what, where, difficult to analyze it. But we can think, if we are in the spiritual world where we originally belong to, right? Why is everyone chanting Krishna's names here? She is also chanting Krishna's name. She is also chanting Krishna's name. Everyone is chanting Krishna's names. Why not anybody else other than Krishna? चलो मैं नहीं लेकिन कोई और सही. But why don't I hear any other voice other than Krishna's holy names? And all the bhoga that has been cooked, the dal, the chapati, the rice, and everything is being offered to Krishna. Why Krishna? And everyone here is trying to please Krishna, everyone is trying to dance for Krishna's pleasure. So in the spiritual world, everything is going on in all its variety for Krishna. So the activities may be in variety, but the object is only one. Right? So then sometimes that thought comes, why only Krishna? And that very nice appreciation for Krishna's activities, Krishna's qualities and all, there's a small vikara, the small change that happens. Just like milk is very sweet, just a little bit vikara, change, transformation happens and it becomes curd. And curd is sour, right? And the qualities of milk and curd are very different. If you take milk too much, sometimes, you have a upset stomach. And the best thing to cure upset stomach is you take curd, dahi, right? So viruddha effect is there. Parinam is viruddha. But what is the difference between milk and curd? Just a little bit. Thoda usme change aa gaya, right? Similarly, what is envy actually? Envy is basically negative appreciation. Think about it. If I'm envious of somebody, what am I saying? I'm saying he is better than me in one of that aspect, whatever, singing, dancing, speaking, cooking, whatever. Why is he better than me? But the way I express it may not be in these sweet words. Why is he better than me? I may say, "Ye khud ko kya samajhta hai?" Right? But if you analyze any time in our life, if you felt threatened by somebody, if you felt envious of somebody, if you go one step back and you analyze it, actually we feel envious of those who are better than us. We never feel envious of those who are not better than us. In one sense, what we are saying is, this person is better than me. Right? So that's why I'm calling envy as negative appreciation. So what is it that can prevent the iron piece from getting attracted to the magnet? Only one thing. If it has rust on it. And similarly, what is it that can prevent a living entity from getting attracted to Krishna? It is this envy. Why everyone glorifies Krishna only? Why everything that is cooked has to be offered to Krishna first? Why all songs have to be about Krishna? Why Krishna? But that's what the name means. Sarva akarshayati Krishna. That person who's attracted to it. That's what is the meaning of the word Krishna. So, in these names, Subhadra is definitely attracted to Krishna. Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara. But two names came up, Gandhari and Dhrtarastra. And Prabhuji mentioned that is Gandhari and Dhrtarastra. There is a doubt about these names being in this list because they are on the opposite side. So if they are on the Kaurava side, how can they have so much love for Krishna that the shloka is mentioning they could not bear separation from Lord Krishna and they nearly fainted? How can Gandhari and Dhritarashtra faint out of impending separation from Krishna? They cannot handle it. So बाकी लोगों को समझ सकते हैं, right? So is it that Gandhari and Dhritarashtra were actually having love for Krishna? And that's why when Krishna is going, Draupadi fainted, Subhadra fainted, Kunti fainted, Dhaumya fainted, Bhimsen fainted, Arjun fainted, and Dhritarashtra and Gandhari also fainted. Is it like that? That Gandhari and Dhritarashtra also loved Krishna? Think about it. See, if we really want to understand the Bhagavatam, then we'll have to enter into the minds of the personalities of the Bhagavatam. Because Bhagavatam is made up of persons. Bhagavatam is not philosophy. Bhagavatam is not just rules and regulations. Bhagavatam is basically giving us an entrance into the life and the mind of a devotee by explaining to us what this devotee thought of when he underwent this situation in his or her life. When Kunti underwent a certain situation, what was her mentality, what were her thoughts? So that's how we are getting trained, that when such situations come in our lives, then what should be a good response from our side, right? That is the Bhagavatam. So that's why we are going deeper into this. How come Dhritarashtra and Gandhari's names are there in the list of people who nearly fainted when Krishna was about to leave? And we won't expect the names to be there. So this is one thing very important to understand, that Gandhari and Dhritarashtra, let's think about it and you can contradict me. They were never envious of Krishna. They were just too much attached to their children. Is it true? Right? So, anytime Vidur, who's the advisor to Dhritarashtra, he will come and tell Dhritarashtra, when right from the moment when Duryodhana was born. When Duryodhana was born, there was a braying of asses. I can very nicely make that sound for you. It's very natural for me. Right? Asses. Like that. Right? And as soon as those sounds were made, I think the meteors were falling. So Vidur told Dhritarashtra, my dear king, these are ill omens. And I would advise you to not take care of this child. I have a serious request for you. Take this child, abandon him in the forest. So you don't kill the child, but abandon him in the forest. If the child is destined to live, maybe another Tarzan part 2 will happen. Some animals may adopt him, right? We don't know. Anything can happen. And if that child is destined to die, then something will happen. But what we did is, we did not kill, we just abandoned him. So देखते हैं उसका जो भी नसीब है वो होगा, but don't allow this child to live in the palace because it's not a good auspicious situation. So from that moment onwards, Dhritarashtra is basically rejecting his request, and he said, no, you are my well-wisher, but I can't abandon my child. And then at every moment, whenever Duryodhana did what he should not have done, every time Vidur was there. And Vidur is continues, just see Dhritarashtra, look the way he is speaking, look at how he is manipulating things. In the interest of the Kuru dynasty, please abandon the child, please kill the child, please don't listen to his advice at least. He says, I know what you are saying is right, but I can't say no to Duryodhana. So it's called Putra Sneha, attachment to the child. And just out of attachment to the child, Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, they were kind of being manipulated by the child. The child is saying, when Vidur says something to the Dhritarashtra, then Dhritarashtra is thinking, then Duryodhana will come and say, Papa, do you love me? And Papa says, yes. They say, if you love me, then we should do it like this. I'll ask you one question. Dharmaraj Yudhishthir, how many of you, before you came to these classes, started attending these classes, had a belief in your heart that gambling is not good? before you chanted, before you came to the temple, but you had this, this basic idea that gambling is not good. How many of you? Can you raise your hands? Even me also. Before I became a devotee, I knew that, right? So now I'm asking you a question. How can Dharmaraj Yudhishthir, his name is Dharmaraj. You and me are tiny people who make so many errors, who have so many limitations. How can the person who's Dharmaraj, how can he sit for a gambling match? And once you sit for a gambling match, then what happens are just the consequences. Then first he lost his brothers, then he lost himself, right? And then the most unfortunate situation happened, right? Draupadi was put on the, she was put for the game, right? How can Dharmaraj Yudhishthir sit for a gambling match? Anybody knows this?
He had taken a vow not to say no to his elders.
Yes.
It was asked by Dhrtarastra should
Yes. Yes. So please give her a clap. So this whole gambling thing is not Dhritarashtra's idea, it is Shakuni's idea. Because he is giving a very nice logic. Let's say, he is a chess player. Raghav Charan Prabhu is a very famous chess player. And I somehow want to outdo him. Should I play a chess game with him? He is a famous chess player. I will be out of it. If he is good in singing and I want to show that he is less than me, should I engage in a singing competition with him? No. I have to check out something where he is weak. Right? So Shakuni is observing the Pandavas and he's saying, see, they are so pious. They are so pure. You cannot win against them in the honest way. If honesty is there in the competition or in whatever you're doing, you can never win against them. They're skilled, they're humble, they're submissive, so they have a lot of blessings, right? So not only they're skilled, but they receive all blessings from their, so they're submissive also, they're pure also, they're pious also. तो सही रास्ते से इनको हम कभी हरा नहीं सकते हैं. So I have to come here. You're feeling cold, right? Come here. So इनको सही रास्ते से हम जाएंगे, we can never defeat them. तो क्या करना पड़ेगा? There's only one way. You have to cheat them. You have to go the wrong way. चीटिंग करना पड़ेगा कुछ ना कुछ. तो क्या करेंगे चीटिंग? बोले मैं एक्सपर्ट हूँ गैम्बलिंग में, right? You know what was the dice of Shakuni made up of? Anybody knows?
bones of his father.
So it is said the bones of his father. So it's basically black magic, evil thing, right? So he's made bones from his father's bone, from dice from his father's bones, and that's how he would, use black magic and all that. So Shakuni is saying, इनको हम कोई भी कंपटीशन में हरा नहीं सकते हैं. There is only one way, we have to cheat them. So let's call them for a gambling match and just make sure that they sit there and I'll do the needful. Duryodhana has a big laugh. Duryodhana says, what a joke, let's laugh. Dharmaraj, for a gambling match. Are you serious? He said, see, don't think I'm joking, don't think I'm drunk. I know what I'm speaking. If you invite them, he can never come. But, Mataji mentioned, there was a vow taken by Yudhishthir in all good interest. मेरे बड़े बुजुर्ग अगर मुझे से कुछ अपेक्षा करेंगे, मैं कभी नहीं बोलूंगा. Very good thing, right? In fact, we'll tell some of our children, if some elders speak something, you should always respect. And that's what Yudhishthir is doing. But, see how, evil people are, they use your goodness against you. So he's suggesting, you don't send an invitation to Dharmaraj. He'll never come for a gambling match. But he's taken a vow to never ever disobey his elders. So that invitation has to go from your father. So he goes to his father and says, Papa, do you love me? Yes. So now you have to send an invitation. So that invitation was signed by Dhritarashtra. So, in today's times also I have seen your father's elder brother. In Hindi families, what do they call? Dauji. I have seen families calling their father's elder brother as Bade Papa, right? And sometimes the younger brother is called Chote Papa, right? It's Papa. It's Bade Papa, right? So think about it. In today's times also, we call Bade Papa. 5,000 years back, he is Yudhishthir. Very respectful. So when he receives a letter from Dhritarashtra, what does he see? He says, Bade Papa is calling me. Can you refuse the order of your Bade Papa? Even now I have seen people, they cannot disobey their Bade Papa. There's so much respect. So that's why Yudhishthira sat there, right? So now, this is just an example of how Duryodhan knows how to do wrong things, and Dhritarashtra just kept falling for it, even if Vidur kept advising him, don't do it. But the trick was, Papa, do you love me? Right? So Duryodhan is such an expert person. He abused his father's love. His younger brother is Dushasan. Should younger brothers cooperate and listen to elder brothers? How many of you have two children at home? Right? So do you teach the younger child to listen to the elder child? Right? So Dushasan was also like that. But his misfortune is his younger brother too, somebody like Duryodhan. Right? So he's saying, Dushasan aisa karo. All the wrong things he wanted to do. He said, Dushasan. And if he stops, they say, Dushasan, do you love me? Yes. Karna, he has that quality of being loyal friend. Right? So keeping everything aside. But Karna has this quality, nahi, mere dost ne mujhe madad ki, right? What did he do with Karna? Basically, there was no friendship for Karna. He used Karna as a tool to get what he wanted. Right? So just think about this person called Duryodhan, he's such an interesting personality. His father's love for him, he used it to his own advantage, and the word to use is exploited. What is exploitation? You manipulate things in such a way that you are benefited. He exploited his brother's love for him. He exploited Karna's loyalty to him, right? So we are discussing how can Gandhari and Dhritarashtra's name come in that list. If you look at it from this perspective, actually Gandhari and Dhritarashtra did not hate Krishna. They did not have envy for Krishna. Who is that mastermind behind this whole big huge plot? You understood the point? So in one of the shlokas in the Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, after this Shanti Doot episode happens, Krishna comes and offers a peace proposal. So what happens at that time? Can anybody tell me in essence? We don't want the details, but what happens? Krishna comes in a very humble way and he says, can we just go for Shanti? Just give them what they deserve. Says, never. Okay, give them Indraprastha, because you only gave them Khandav Prastha. That Banjar Zameen was given to them, right? And they transformed it into Indraprastha. So at least their Indraprastha, not Hastinapur. What you gifted to them. Can you? Never. Okay, no problem. You don't want to give Hastinapur, no problem. You don't want to give Indraprastha, no problem. Can we give them 5 villages because they are Kshatriyas, they are rulers? They can't open a Udupi restaurant. They are rulers. Can we give them 5 villages and they can be rulers of those 5 villages? And mind you, Krishna has not yet discussed this trade-off. It's a very, from Hastinapur to Indraprastha, but at least Indraprastha was their property. 5 villages, 1 village for 1 Pandav is a very big bargain, right? It's a peanuts. And Krishna has not discussed it. मांगू चलेगा क्या तुमको? 5 गांव देंगे, हाँ बोल दिया उसने, तो तुमको 5 गांव में satisfy रहना पड़ेगा. Krishna has so much faith on the Pandavas, Krishna has so much trust on the Pandavas that if he tells them, I went for Hastinapur, but he said no. Then I asked him for Indraprastha, but he said no. So then I told him for 5 villages and he gave 5 villages. He knows Yudhishthir and Arjun and all, they will not say, how can you do this? You cheated us. He knows that. What did Duryodhan say? No. Not even the land that can fit on the tip of a pin. Right? Sui ki nok pe nahi de sakte. Then what happened? Then Krishna said, you should give something to him. And then what is Duryodhan's response? That time Shakuni came there and Shakuni is saying, see, till now we made 1000 attempts to kill the Pandavas, hurt the Pandavas and do whatever we want. Never ever we succeeded. Why so? He was always there with the Pandavas. It is all the protection of Krishna. And today just see his audacity. Now he has come to our place and is asking for them on their behalf, do one thing. Right now he does not even have any weapons in his hand. capture him. And in the past, one time, one envoy बोलते हैं उसको, दूत, messenger. In the past also, in one war, one messenger had come from the opposite side, and that messenger was captured. And that time also, the well-wisher of the person who tried to capture the envoy had told him, the rules of the war say that when the messenger from the opposite party comes, you can't capture him. He's just carrying a message, तो छोड़ देना है उसको. But that time also the messenger was captured and the messenger was hurt. The messenger was abused and it led to a lot of consequences. And that story from the past is now being told by Vidur to Dhritarashtra that Krishna has not come with a war intention. He has not come with his bow. He has not come with a sword. He is just carrying a message from the Pandavas कि हमारी जो थोड़ी सी जमीन है वो हमको दे दो और बस, that's what we want. So because he's come in the role of a messenger, Duryodhana is saying capture him. You can't capture him because at one point of time in the past, a messenger was captured and the messenger was hurt and lot of things happened. Anybody knows what I'm referring to in the past? Hanumanji was brought in front of Ravan and they tried to put his tail on fire. That time Vibhishan said, this is against the rules. The messenger should never be ill-treated. Don't do like this. And Ravan said, no, I'll do what I want to do. He put his tail on fire. Then what happened? Except Ashok Vatika. So very sweet. The entire city was burning except the place where Sita Devi was there. So that incident Vidur mentions here. अरे वो कृष्णा एनवाय के रूप में है, मैसेंजर के रूप में है. Don't hurt him, don't capture him, don't put him in the jail. It will lead to a lot of consequences. Before also a lot of consequences happened. Don't play. And what does Duryodhana say? No, capture him. And that time Krishna says, how will you capture me? I'm inside also, I'm outside also. You cannot capture me. But still they try to capture Krishna. And then what happens? Krishna shows his Virat Roop. And everyone runs away from there. They can't see Krishna. So again, this is one incident where Duryodhana is envious of Krishna. So Duryodhana is this person who has a lot of envy for Krishna. So in that Shanti Dut, when it failed, right? So when Krishna returned back, 2 or 3 days after that incident, Vidur, last chance. He goes to Dhritarashtra in his chamber and says, I'm making a last appeal to you. You saw what happened that day? In front of everyone, Krishna showed his universal form. Everyone just ran away from there, scared completely. I'm still requesting you, the war has not started. Krishna has gone back and now anytime anything can happen. Even now you are the king and Duryodhana is the prince. You can even now stop Duryodhana and say, Jo bhi hua, as a king, I have the authority to overrule everything and let's give their land back to them and we can avert the war. We can avoid the war. This time when Vidur is speaking to Duryodhana, Duryodhana is outside the room and he overhears it. And he comes inside. And then he says, you son of a mistress. He is actually his uncle. So Bade Papa, Chote Papa bhi nahi hai wo. That Yudhishthira says Bade Papa, Chote Papa. He says, you son of a mistress. How dare you speak about me in my palace? मेरा खाना खा के मेरे बारे में चुगली करते हो, मेरे पिताजी को चुगली करते हो. He calls his guards and says, snatch away all his property, snatch away all his belongings, leave him only with his breath. सांस केवल उसमें छोड़ दो, बाकी सब कुछ छीन लो इसका. ये गद्दार है. And it is mentioned, Vidur, for speaking good advice to his brother his whole life, he usually would get the punishment of neglect. And it's a very big punishment. If you are a well-wisher of somebody, you always speak this in your interest. And all you get is neglect. It actually hurts a lot. But this time, the punishment was neglect, not neglect. This time the punishment was severe punishment of snatching away all your property and just letting you live alive. तो उसको धक्के मार के निकाल दिया बाहर. And then what happens then? You had envy for Krishna, you tried to capture Krishna, and then there was only one good well-wisher and you drove him out also. Then what happened? Then the war happened. In the war, what happened? 100 sons were slaughtered in 18 days. And then sometimes in today's modern times, they put the whole blame on Krishna, saying that if you are saying, you Vaishnavas, if you are saying that Krishna is God, can God not avoid massive violence? So many human beings were killed, so many animals were killed. Does God not have a kind heart? Why God did not stop? So you and me should know that God did try to stop. But when somebody is hell bent on going to hell, then what can you do? Right? So on one side is God's compassion, and on one side is the tiny jivatma's obstinacy. उसको हिंदी में बोलते हैं जिद. That zid word is a very powerful word. Because the Lord wants to save us, but we have that zid. We have that obstinacy. I won't listen to you. I won't change. And in front of the infinite God's infinite compassion, the tiny jivatma's obstinacy is heavier than God's compassion. And similarly, then Duryodhana invited a lot of mishaps in his life. So why I'm discussing all this is, it's very important for you and me to understand why was the name of Gandhari and Dhrtarastra in the list of names of personalities who nearly fainted because it was impossible for them to bear separation from Lord Krishna. You know why? They might be on the wrong side, but personally they never had envy for Krishna. They might have supported Dhrtarastra, but in their heart, in Gandhari's heart, in Dhrtarastra's heart, there is no envy for Krishna, but they were helpless because of their attachment to their child. They are helpless because of their attachment to their son. And every one of us has attachment to the son. But never ever, personally, we should have envy for Krishna. Sometimes, the child in the womb of a mother kicks the mother from inside. This is the example that is given by Lord Brahma in one of his prayers in the 14th chapter of 10th canto. He says, actually I hurt you, but you are like my mother and I am like your child. And sometimes the child, when it grows, kicks the mother from inside. And he says, Brahmaji says, actually the mother becomes happy. Oh, the child is growing very nicely. Right? So the kick on the mother's stomach from inside is actually proof that the child is growing nicely. So he says, the mother does not mind the kicks of the child. Similarly, you also should not mind my kicks. Brahma, is begging forgiveness. Right? It's not good to have envy for the Lord. There's no doubt about it. But it's possible that you have envy for the Lord and the Lord does not take it seriously. More problematic than having envy for the Lord is to have envy for those who are dear to the Lord, the devotees of the Lord. That is really poisonous. How many years did Krishna tolerate the attacks of Kamsa? Anybody knows? In Vrindavan, every day, around breakfast time, some demon would come. Around lunch time, some demon would come. And around dinner time, some demon would come. And Krishna, would get a good appetite by fighting with him and killing him and running here and there and jumping. So Krishna gave him a chance to increase his appetite. Achhi bhook lagti thi Krishna ko roj. So 3 demons per day. And roughly Krishna stayed in Vrindavan for 11 and a half years. Roughly. For 11 years, Kamsa, he sent so many demons to kill Krishna. Why did Krishna not just go 12 kilometers away from Vrindavan is the city of Mathura? Just go to Kamsa, kill him, finish him off. Na rahega baas, na bajegi basuri. What is it that Krishna is sending demons? When Krishna was 3 months old, the first demon came, Putra. 3 months old baby. But he never took it seriously against Kamsa and he said, they kept sending, right? The last day was Keshi. Keshi was the last demon. In the morning time, you killed. And then Vyomasur is also there in Kamyavan.
You only 12 or 13 demons. So what if
say 11 years, that means probably like thousands and lakhs.
Yeah.
How do you, is it describes with all these events?
No, these are the biggest ones, these are the primary ones. Shukdev Goswami has limited time. 7 days he has to speak the whole katha. So if he wanted, he could have spoken more. So, coming back to our point, Krishna waited for the day or the moment when he will attack Kamsa. Who's the reason? Who's the main person who's sending all these demons? So my question to you is, do you know when Krishna actually decided to kill Kamsa? Does anybody know? So after Krishna is killing all these demons, one day Kamsa thought, I am sending these demons to Krishna's home, Vrindavan. And that's why, in cricket they call it home pitch. So in the home pitch, the team is always very powerful. So he's saying, I am sending all the demons to Krishna's home, and that's why Krishna is winning. Now I'll get him on my pitch. So he sends Akrura, and he says, call Krishna and Balaram for a gambling match, for a wrestling match in Mathura. And then he has the biggest wrestlers in Mathura, and Chanur and Mushtik. And there's a public wrestling match. 11-year-old boys, Krishna and Balaram, and these huge mountain-like wrestlers, Chanur and Mushtik. Basically, it is to crush them, finish them off, right? Call them here. In that wrestling match, Krishna and Balaram effortlessly kill Chanur and Mushtik. And Kamsa is there. As a Upar, he is watching the match. He wants to see how Krishna and Balaram are killed by my wrestlers. Oh, this Bakasur and Aghasur and Putana, they didn't know the art of killing Krishna. But now I know the art of killing, right? And that gambling match goes. When Chanur and Mushtik are killed, Chanur and Mushtik, some brothers are there. Shal, Kuta and Toshal. Those 3 brothers come. Krishna and Balaram kill them also. Still, Krishna does not kill Kamsa. Anybody knows the exact moment when Krishna decides to kill Kamsa? 11 साल से वो कृष्ण और बलराम को मारने की कोशिश कर रहा है और कृष्ण उसको मार नहीं रहा है. Finally, Kamsa only calls him to Mathura. And he's arranged a match, which is, anybody can understand, these 2 innocent boys. Actually, some of the Mathura Vasis, when they saw that these 2 young boys against these 2 mountains, they got up and left. They said, we cannot be a party to injustice. ये अन्याय हम देख नहीं सकते. They left. Krishna killed them. Still he didn't kill Kamsa. So what is it that Krishna was waiting for, and what is the moment when Krishna decided to kill Kamsa? I'll share that with you. Very important for us. At one point of time, when all the people who were attacking Krishna in that wrestling match were killed by Krishna, Kamsa became desperate. Kamsa became insecure. Because now the last attack also went, it didn't work. Kamsa suddenly got up. ऐसा मालूम है, sometimes everything fails and you go berserk, your mind's intelligence does not work properly. He got up there and he said, Vasudev and Devaki are in the prison. Kill them. Nanda Maharaj was also there. Kill Nanda Maharaj. Snatch away all the belongings and all the wealth of the cowherd men of Vrindavan. When Kamsa spoke these words about Vasudeva and Devaki, when Kamsa spoke these words about Nanda Maharaj, when Kamsa spoke that words about the Vrajvasis, that is the time when Krishna said, enough is enough. And Krishna jumped, caught hold of Kamsa, pulled him down on the floor, climbed on his chest, and he said, how dare you speak like that about my father and my mother? Dum, killed him. It's very important for us to understand, for 11 and a half years, this person was trying to kill Krishna Balaram. He never took it seriously. He tolerated it. You know why? Because Krishna is very kind-hearted, and Krishna thinks, when he tried to kill me and didn't work, there's a good chance that he will think, अरे छोटा सा बच्चा है, वो कैसे बच गया? So I had heard in that Akashvani that he's a special child. Maybe he's a special child. Instead of having envy for Krishna, why don't I have positive appreciation for Krishna and say, sorry, माफ कर दो, अभी तक जो भी गलती हो गई, right? So instead of having negative appreciation for Krishna, why shouldn't I have positive? So Krishna was waiting for Kamsa to change his envy into from negative appreciation to positive appreciation. When was the moment in Ramayana when Lord Ram decided to kill Ravan? Was it on the first day of the war? Anybody knows when was the moment? Actually, the war was going on. Either say, other say, some of their people killed some. At one moment of time, Ravan, he hurt Lakshman, and Lakshman became unconscious. And that is too much for Ram. So after Lakshman regained consciousness, then Ram said, "This is enough now. Now I have to kill him." And even in that killing, how did he? He had 10 heads, right? Dashanan, Dashamukha, right? How did Ram kill? Can Ram, who, when Vali wanted to test him, Sugriv and Vali incident, right? So, Sugriv is saying, "Are you sure you can kill Vali? I don't want to take a risk. I'll believe you have the power to kill Vali when Vali can shoot one arrow that can go through one tree. There was a sal tree. One tree. So उसमें से arrow इतना, he has so much power that that arrow will pierce the tree. And there were 7 trees in a row. So Sugriv is saying, I will believe you can kill Vali, the powerful person, my brother, only when you can shoot an arrow which can go through the tree, right?" And Ram, he took that arrow, he pulled it, and it went through 7 sal trees, one after another. It's not 7 separate arrows. Can you imagine the power of Ram's arrow? So 7 ped the, it went simultaneously through all the trees. It went up to the heavens, it went down to the patal, and then it came and sat again in Ram's quiver. And then Ram said, "Any doubts?" And then Sugriv said, "Sorry, I think you are capable enough." That Ram, who can shoot arrows at 7 sal trees, can he not shoot 10 heads of Ravan? But he shot 1 head only. Why did Ram shoot only 1 head? Why not all 10 heads? Well, he was giving an opportunity to Ravan to think, nobody can even enter my kingdom. His son's name is Meghnad. But Meghnad, he got a new name, Indrajit. His original name is Meghnad. Why he got a name Indrajit? Because Indra के ऊपर उसने विजय प्राप्त किया, तो Indrajit. The Devatas could not cross over the airspace of Lanka. Today our neighboring country has banned Indian airspace from going to the airspace. So उस समय से चल रहा है वो. So imagine the Devatas cannot cross the airspace, and here is a Manushya cutting off one of his heads, but another head came there. So Ram is thinking, this buddhi of one head, it didn't work. And he fought with me. And Mandodari was saying, "Arey de do, unki patni hai," right? And Vibhishan was saying, "Why did you steal somebody's wife? It's wrong." And he drove Vibhishan away. So when the second head comes, maybe the second head's intelligence analyzes and says, "I think I should just agree, and I think I should just surrender," but it didn't work, right? So even after hurting Ram like anything, when did Ram decided to finally kill him? When Lakshman was hurt, when his devotee was hurt. And even within that, he is giving him chances. Abhi to sudhar ja, abhi to sudhar ja. Similarly, Krishna also, for so many attempts of life on that small child Krishna, he was giving a chance to Kamsa to ponder over it. I am sending the biggest demons and they are getting killed. I think there is a lot of power, lot of special qualities in Krishna. I think I should just surrender to Krishna. But he didn't. Still, in Mathura also, he's still fighting and not killing Kamsa. But when did it change? When he decided to kill Vasudeva and Devaki. So my dear friends, one very strong thing, one very important message for all of us to understand is, we should never have envy for Krishna. But since we are here in the material world, some space is given to us. That's why we are here. We have that small envy for Krishna somewhere in our hearts. Why Krishna? Why not me? कहीं ना कहीं वो आ जाता है, right? That is also tolerated by Krishna, just like the mother tolerates the kicks of the child. But mother and father, if some child comes and hurts the mother, mother says, "नहीं नहीं, beta hai, beti hai." Sometimes hurts the father, चलता है. but the mother and father are put off when the two children are fighting amongst themselves and one of the child is basically about to kill the other child. That hurts the mother and father, and mother and father will really become active in preventing that child from killing the other child, right? So one thing that the Supreme Lord cannot tolerate about you and me is not envy for him. It is when we envy the devotees of the Lord. So now the question is, how come Gandhari and Dhrtarastra's names are there in the list of names who nearly fainted thinking about separation from Krishna, because they never had envy for Krishna first, and second thing I mentioned just now, they also did not have envy for devotees of Krishna. And what about Duryodhan? Strong envy, but I can tell you, he might have a little bit envy for Krishna, but his greater envy was for the Pandavas. What is the problem with Karna? Karna's problem, he's a nice person, always wanting to help his friend and all. What is the biggest problem of Karna? The biggest problem of Karna is every breath of his life, he envies Arjun. There's a story just before the Mahabharata war started. Kunti went to Karna and he said, I got to know that you are my first child, even before Yudhishthir, whom I abandoned. I want to make you a request. You are on the opposite side of my 5 children and you are their brother. See, anyway, it's not a war between you and the Pandavas, it's a war between Duryodhan and the Pandavas, right? And you are on his side. You just tell Duryodhan, I don't want to fight the war. You just quit the war. I'm not even asking you to come on this side. Apne bhaiyon ke, no, you just quit the war, okay? And I can tell you, if my children win, who will become the king if the children win? 5 brothers win? Yudhishthir, right? I take the responsibility of telling Yudhishthir, my dear Yudhishthir, ये तुम्हारा बड़ा भाई है, ये पांचों में आप बड़े भाई है, तो ये जीतेंगे तो आप राजा बनेंगे, but Karna is your elder brother and I assure you, if Yudhishthir wins, I can get them to sit not on the throne and you will become the king. But all I'm requesting you is, because you are my son, I cannot see my son fighting in a death match with other sons. So as a mother, I'm requesting you, can you just walk out of the war? She's not even making it difficult for him that you come on this side. You know what Karna replied? Anybody knows what Karna replied? Yes. Karna said, before the war, you have 5 sons. After the war also, you will have 5 sons. You know what it means? It means, I cannot give up my envy for Arjun. Right now, these 5 are your sons. After the war, एक तो अर्जुन मरेगा, मैं जिंदा रहूंगा, या मैं मरूंगा, अर्जुन रहेगा. I will not listen to my mother when she's requesting me, please don't fight amongst yourselves, don't kill amongst yourselves. Can you imagine what kind of a character is that when your mother comes and tells you, don't kill your brother? And she's not just, kind of robbing him of his glory. She's telling him, you will become the king also. So she's giving him quite a big benefit, right? How can a child speak in the face of his mother, I am not going to give up my idea of killing my brother? What does it take? But that is Karna. So Duryodhan has envy a little bit for Krishna, but unlimited envy for those who are dear to Krishna. Karna has some good qualities, but the biggest fault of Karna is he has unlimited envy for those who are dear to Krishna. Dushasan, Shakuni, to whatever extent they are aligning with Duryodhan, they are also party to the crime. What is the crime that we are talking of? Having envy for those whom Krishna loves and having envy for those who love Krishna. There's a book called Brihad Bhagavatamrit. In that Brihad Bhagavatamrit, Narad Muni is speaking to the Pandavas and he's saying, one time I was with Krishna in Dwarka, and in the assembly, in the presence of many, many sages, you know what Krishna said about you? He said, Yah sa tan dveshti sa mam dveshti. Yah sa tan anu sa mam anu. You know what it means? Krishna declared to the whole world. And why is Narad Muni mentioning that Krishna spoke that in the presence of the sages? Because he wants to mention that in the presence of sadhus, we usually don't lie. तो somebody says कि अरे कृष्ण तो ऐसी बड़ी बड़ी बातें करते हैं, अरे लेकिन साधुओं के बीच में, साधुओं की उपस्थिति में ये कहा उन्होंने, क्या कहा? जो पांडवों का द्वेष करता है वो मेरा द्वेष करता है, जो पांडवों को प्रसन्न करता है वो मुझे प्रसन्न करता है. And then he says, Mama prana hi Pandava. The 5 Pandavas are like the 5 life airs in the body. You know why? Because Krishna has some expectations from this world. Dharma, right? Dharma samsthapanarthaya, right? And in that Dharma samsthapana, these 5 brothers, they in one sense, they just surrendered themselves to Krishna. What do you want from us? No complaints. Just by following the rules of Dharma given by Krishna, they underwent so much torture, they underwent so much trouble, they got cheated, they got looted, and never ever they asked a question, Krishna, we are following you, but just because we are following you, we are getting into so much trouble. I don't think following you is a good strategy. Or they never asked a doubt, Krishna, are you God only when killing demons, or are you God when protecting your devotees also? दोनों होना चाहिए ना. So we see you God in killing the demons, but as far as we are concerned, we never see you in action in trying to protect us. Why are these hardships coming into our life? Never ever the Pandavas asked this question. So when you serve God with all that you have, and when there are difficulties in your life, you don't even ask a question to Krishna. Why me? Krishna is overwhelmed by that. And Krishna is saying, Mama prana hi Pandava. So for God to say, I have so much trust on the Pandavas. See, how many of us have trust on God? But does God have trust on us? The whole world trusts God. Ram ne bola hai, right? Ram aayenge. Shabri, for hundreds of years, she was kept on waiting. She trusts Ram. And all of us trust God. All of us trust Ram. All of us trust Narsimha. Narsimha Chaturdashi is coming, right? And we'll hear a story about how Prahlad had so much trust on Narsimha. And Hiranyakashipu is saying, is God there everywhere? Yes, he's there. Is he there in the pillar? Yes, he's there in the pillar. Dum! And he actually came out of the pillar just to prove the words of his devotee truth. Right? So all of us have trust on Vishnu, all of us have trust on Ram, all of us have trust on Krishna, all of us have trust on Narsimha. But can Narsimha speak that about us? Can you imagine the quality of the consciousness of the Pandavas for Krishna to say, they are my life? So when Duryodhan has envy for such personalities, matlab, I love Raghav Charan Prabhu, but I hate his life. No, I like his face, but I hate his heart. And I'll attack his heart. It's ridiculous. So if somebody attacks Krishna, Krishna does not take it seriously. But when somebody attacks Krishna's heart, the Pandavas, then Krishna takes it very seriously. And that's why in this shloka it is mentioned, Dhrtarastra and Gandhari also fainted. But the names of Duryodhan, Dushasan, Shakuni and Karna are not there.
But they were not there.
Huh?
They were not alive.
No, in any other way also, never ever they can come to that state or come close to that state where they can have any positive emotions for Krishna. Yes.
Guruji, you mentioned right now that Duryodhan had envy. So what I may be wrong also.
No, please.
But even Dhrtarastra, he envied the Pandavas.
So envy for the Pandavas, is it that he tried to crush the Pandavas, or is it that the schemes and all were made by his son and he tried to oppose, but as I mentioned, always, the sellotape that "Papa, do you love me" was put on the mouth of Dhritarashtra.
Maybe that would be essential because without
I understand. See, it's not so clean because I'm not a Paramatma. And honestly, I'm not making fun, but see, you and me don't have access to somebody's heart, right? But all we can say is he had that Viveka Buddhi. See, Dhritarashtra did not drive Vidur away. Try to understand this point. His whole life, I had mentioned Shanti Doot ka jo prastav tha, that's like the end of everything. And then the war happened. So 2 or 3 days after Shanti Doot, when Vidur gave that last advice, that is the time when he was driven out by Duryodhan. You know what it means? It means for his whole life, Vidur had chance and that faith that he will not be driven out when he gives good advice to Dhritarashtra. So if Dhritarashtra had envy for Pandavas, every time Vidur came, what Dhritarashtra would have done the first time when Vidur came and gave good advice to Dhritarashtra? When Vidur comes and gives good advice to Dhritarashtra for the first time, Dhritarashtra would have driven him out or maybe messed his life. Something would have happened. No, but Vidur continued to be in the position of the royal advisor. His position was not taken away, and every time when he gave advice, he listened to him and he would ponder over it. He took it seriously. But when Duryodhan would understand it, Duryodhan would come and put that tape on his mouth. Do you love me? Do you love your son? He said, I love you. Right? So you can just keep quiet and know. Right? So, from this perspective, if you see, it's not that he had envy, but his putra sneha overpowered his viveka buddhi. His viveka buddhi would say, what Vidur is saying is making sense. And he was processing it. He didn't reject it. He didn't throw him out. It is Duryodhan who threw Vidur out. So from that perspective, I'm saying, it does not look like they had direct envy for the Pandavas. And this is my point actually in today's class. That Draupadi fainting is understood, Kunti fainting is understood, Subhadra fainting is understood, Bhimsen fainting is understood. But what is not understood is Gandhari and Dhritarashtra. But we can understand Gandhari and Dhrtarashtra even if they have envy for little bit for Krishna, because Gandhari had anger for Krishna, right? So that's why this whole discussion is very important. That it's all right from Krishna's perspective, even if you are angry on Krishna, yeah, because she, just like you were the cause for my dynasty's destruction, I curse you that all your dynasty will be destroyed, and Krishna accepted it. But what Krishna did not tolerate and what Krishna could not tolerate is not when somebody envies Krishna. He is in the role of a mother and child mother example I gave. What Krishna cannot tolerate is envy for those who love him and those whom he loves. So the take home after all these stories and all the shloka is that you and me, we are taught from our childhood to be very careful with God. अरे वो भगवान के सामने हमेशा नमस्कार करना चाहिए, right? All that. I'll share one of my childhood stories. We'll end soon. In my home, my mother would teach me that anything new we brought from the shop, we should offer it in front of the small little altar that way. So some clothes purchased for me, we would keep it there, and anything like that, right? One day we purchased chappals for me. I was small child. And I kept those chappals also there. And my mother saw it. Why do you keep chappals? No, you only taught me everything that we bring we should. So, no, everything we bring we keep it in chappals. Right? So, in one sense we are taught from our childhood, simple culture, never ever disrespect God. Right? But when we come to Krishna's temple and when we start associating with devotees, we start reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, we have to go to another level, a higher level. You know what? Yeah, allow me to speak this, not to stop you from speaking, but to focus on something. We should never disrespect God. We continue with that. But somehow, because we are limited personalities, it is possible that we will do mistakes while dealing with God. Because we are tiny, our intelligence is tiny. It is alright. Krishna will tolerate it. Krishna will say, ठीक है, छोटा बच्चा है, कभी-कभी गलती करता है. But we have to be extremely careful in our dealings with those whom Krishna loves or those whom love Krishna. So if you know somebody in your life who loves Krishna, And if you know somebody in your life whom Krishna loves, we have to be doubly careful that we never ever disrespect them. Why? Because Krishna says, I love my devotees. In one of the shlokas, this is, one rishi, he ended up disrespecting a king. And the Srimad Bhagavatam will try to always give us the right understanding. So in the Bhagavatam, there are all these stories, specifically selected by Shukdev Goswami, that turn our misconceptions upside down. So when misconceptions go upside down, then the right conception goes up. So usually in a worldly sense, a grihastha who stays at home is at a lower level than a renunciant, right? In a general sense. The Bhagavatam is giving us one such incident in which one renunciant went to the home of one grihastha. And that grihastha is also a king. King means he is an enjoyer, right? But he didn't know that that grihastha king is a great Vaishnava. And for a small little mistake that he took water, 2 drops of water he took without taking permission from the renunciant in his egoistic fervor, he said, you grihastha, I am your atithi, without taking my permission, you took water, just see what I get. For a small little mistake of apparent disrespect to the sadhu cursed him to die, which he should not have done, right? But the understanding is, this grihastha, he does not know how to respect me. मुझे पूछ के बिना पूछे पानी कैसे पी लिया? Die, right? And you know what happens? This Ambarish Maharaj is the king. He just folds his hand and he remembers Krishna. And he does not call for protection. But because he surrendered to Krishna, Sudarshan Chakra comes uninvited and first kills the demon who has been created by this Durvasa Muni, and then looks at Durvasa Muni and changes the direction towards Durvasa Muni. And Durvasa Muni says, wait. Usually renunciants are supposed to be closer to God and grihasthas are supposed to be caught up in their maya. What is this going on? And that he starts chasing that Durvasa Muni, and Durvasa Muni goes to Indra and says, please save me. Indra says, I cannot save you from Sudarshan Chakra. He goes to Lord Brahma. Brahma says, I cannot save you from Sudarshan Chakra. He goes to Shiva. Shiva says, I cannot save you from Sudarshan Chakra. Then he goes to Vishnu, because Vishnu is Sudarshan Chakra. He goes to Vishnu. You know what Vishnu says? He says the first word he speaks is Aham Bhakta Paradhino Hi Aswatantra Ivadvija. The whole Vedas call me Swatantra. The first verse of the Bhagavatam has the word Swarat. So Swarat means fully independent. So the Bhagavatam says Krishna is fully independent. There is no control. But he says, actually, I am almost aswatantra. Eva means like. So I am swatantra, but if you see me in my dealings with my devotees, I am almost aswatantra because I am bhakta paradhina. I am paradhina on my devotees. So he says, actually, I didn't send the Sudarshan Chakra. So if you have come to me to save yourself from, I can't help you. So then what to do now? इंद्र मदद नहीं करेगा, ब्रह्मा जी मदद नहीं करेंगे, शंकर जी मदद नहीं करेंगे, तो विष्णु तो मदद करना चाहिए. विष्णु बोलता है अहम भक्त पराधीन, ही अस्वतंत्र. So now what to do? So then he says, now you tell me what to do. So he says, you go and beg forgiveness from that simple looking grihastha king who's caught up in a palace, and you are such a great renunciant that you don't have any attachments. But you know what? He has one great attachment. He always remembers me and is always worshipping me in his heart. So how can I give up protecting? And I'll tell you something, this Sudarshan Chakra I never sent. This Sudarshan Chakra naturally protects my devotees. And then this Durvasa Muni, from the earth planets, he went to Swarga Loka, and then he went to Brahma Loka. Brahma Loka is the highest planet in the universe. Then he even went to Vishnu Loka, Shvetadvip. And then from there, again he had to come down to the earthly planets, and then he fell at the feet of Ambarish Maharaj. And you know what Ambarish Maharaj said? Ambarish Maharaj said, I don't even remember what you did. Meanwhile, I was waiting for you to come back because I have still not eaten. वो एकादशी व्रत तोड़ना था तो इसलिए पानी पिया था, but he had not eaten. So in this whole journey of Durvasa Muni, another 1 year passed. And he's still waiting for Durvasa Muni. And now when Durvasa Muni came, he said, please forgive me. He said, that's all right. Can we have some prasad? And then he makes him sit on Deha Prasad. So it's 2 years of fasting. 1 year was planned and 1 year was the Ashirvad of Durvasa Muni. So the final take home is, we may be even Gandhari and Dhrtarastra, caught up on the wrong side. Right? We may not be really very pure like Arjun and Bhimsen and Yudhishthir. Unfortunately, it's possible that we were born on the wrong side. And we may be hands in glove, very close to somebody like Duryodhan, Dushasana. But at least, we have to understand, Krishna is willing to give us some attachment to him, that when Krishna is leaving, we may even faint. But if we have any envy for those whom Krishna loves or those who love Krishna, then we will not be pardoned. And we should never ever attack those who love Krishna, because that will be the beginning of the end. Even if we disrespect Krishna, Krishna says, oh chalega, chote bacche hai. So this is the final conclusion. And that's why they mentioned Gandhari's name in. Okay, so thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Kindly pardon me if I took it too long. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. Thank you.